Hey everyone, Cadian Sergeant Steele here, and today I want to talk to you about the rules that GW is previewing for the new Astra Militarum Codex up on the Warhammer community website. So, without any further ado, let's dive into it. So first thing I want to do is, this is the article, Field Dedicated Command, Infantry, and Heavy Weapon Squads for the three biggest Astra Militarum regiments. Now that is a key word here, and that is because this only covers Cadian, Cadian, and Krieg. It does not seem that they have any direct rules to support any of the other regiments. So, in other words, we're not going to see anything in here about special rules for Steel Legion or Valhallan or, so on and so forth. Those Mordians, we're not going to see things like that. This is only for what they currently make. So that's a very important thing to kind of note. All right. So let's go into it, and what they're covering is how the rules are going to change. And what they've done is now the heavy weapons teams and the command squads are all regiment oriented. So maybe not specific, we don't know that yet. But what we do know is each regiment is going to have its own rules for each version of these things. So they start out with Cadians, which I'm happy about. Very excited for that. And what they gain is Cadian command squads now grant Cadia stands, which is while they have an officer, each time a ranged attack targets the unit. So in other words, the leader here and the bodyguard within range of an objective marker you control, then the unit has the benefit against cover. So that's similar to what infantry squads have, but now it's the Cadian command squad that has it and then grants it to the unit they're attached to and themselves. So I think that's really interesting. It does make them pretty defensive. I am a little bit disappointed to see the ability go away where you couldn't modify the characteristics of the Cadians that the command squad was attached to. It was very strong in certain matchups and in certain circumstances. So it's disappointing to kind of see that go. But this is very useful in Cadians sitting on objectives. I mean, narratively it fits. So I'm not disappointed with their choice to change this and how it's going to change up how we play the game. So, plus, the old rule for Cadian command squads really created some feels bad for certain armies, like the Death Guard, where essentially you ignored their entire army rule because they couldn't reduce your toughness or anything else, your leadership, right? There was nothing that they could change about your Cadians as long as you had a Cadian command squad attached. And that didn't always feel great in certain matchups. Next, the heavy weapons teams for the Cadians get covering fire. So each time they fire Overwatch, they held on an unmodified hit roll of 5+, unless they're within 6 inches of a platoon unit. In that case, they hit on a 4-up. So that's how heavy weapons teams work now in general. But this is going to be the Cadians, the Cadian heavy weapon teams. So not all of them, just the Cadian ones. And so now they're all a little bit different. Next, we have the Krieg, and with their officer in the command squad, which is going to be the Lord Commissar, we're going to be able to get the benefit, which this is really cool, that when you're battle shocked, your orders do not cease to affect the unit, and you can still target them with stratagems, which I think is really cool. And it's exactly how Krieg should play. I mean, why not? And so I think that's a great way to bring the Lord Commissar to life, to bring the Krieg to life, and I'm very excited about that. Now, their heavy weapons teams get final duty. And so when a gunner model is destroyed, as long as the fire coordinator model and the heavy weapons team for the Krieg is still alive, then you roll a dice on a d6. Don't remove the destroyed heavy weapons team model from play. And on a 3-up, they get to shoot. And then they're removed from play. So they get to shoot on death. I mean, that's pretty handy dandy, especially since heavy weapons teams can die pretty easily, right? So that's going to give them a role that's a little bit different from the Cadians, right? Either way, you're going to want to screen these and hide them a little bit, and I think they're going to do really well on the battlefield, though. Next, we look at Cadian. So with their command squad, their officer gets gung-ho command. So ranged weapons equipped by models in the unit have the assault ability. So that's going to make Cadians very swift, right? They're going to be able to move and advance and shoot all of their ranged weapons. So plasma guns and las guns. Oh, well, I guess the command squads can get plasma, but the infantry squads can't, unless we get an update on that. But anyhow, we'll see what's in store for the Cadian in the future. I'm hoping maybe 2026 we'll see something But for now, that's going to be really beneficial. And I think it's going to let Cadian still feel swift and deadly on the battlefield. And that's a really cool benefit. For their heavy weapons teams, we get Bring It Down. So this is a lot like the 9th edition order that we had. Each time a model in this unit makes a range attack that targets a monster vehicle unit, you can re-roll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. So you really got to bring that big target down. And I'm really thinking like this is great narratively, like bringing out Tyranids and demons and stuff. Your heavy bolters and your las cannons and your auto cannons from your Cadian are just gonna be able to just get them a little bit better and tear them down. And I really love that. And you pair that with something, I think they even recommend this here in the article. You can read it all for yourself, where like you give them take aim or something, so they're +1 to hit and you're re-rolling ones. It's really great all around. So that's it really. But what does this mean in terms of like them separating it like this? Well, one, you can see right here at the bottom of the article, the platoon command squad and the infantry squad, generic ones, are gone. So they're removing them from the codex. We don't know if they're going to go to Legends or not. I do hope so. I really hope Games Workshop takes all these units that they're removing from the codex and puts them in Legends. I know for a lot of us who do narrative play, that's really important. When I go to the Nova Open, people like bringing out their Legends unit and their big, beautiful armies and still playing with them. And they have a lot of fun with it. So by doing that, they give us those options. And I think that's really critical. And I think it's okay to take things that you're not going to continuously balance out of competitive play, but still make them viable. I wish they would add Legends units to the app. So Games Workshop, if you're listening, that is my ask of you. Please put them in there. And as an option, you can click like a button to say access to Legends. And then it even says at the top of your roster, this is not match play legal. So this way, if you share that with somebody, they can instantly see, oh, hey, you're using a unit that's not continuously balanced, right? And I think that would be ideal. What that also means is that we've now lost a couple units we maybe weren't anticipating, and we've gained several more. So the heavy weapons teams are now the Cadian heavy weapons teams, the Cadian heavy weapons teams, and the Krieg heavy weapons teams. So that one data sheet has become 3, right? And then same with the platoon command squad. It went from just platoon command squad to we have a Krieg command squad. We have a Cadian command squad. We already had the Cadian one, which was separate, which I think was a teaser of what was coming. And so now we have that here with these changes. What I think that also means is we can expect some other changes in the upcoming codex, where we may see data sheets we weren't expecting to go the way of the dodo and to be gone. And we may gain some new ones. And so with that, we're going to have to be open-minded about what's coming to us and how we're going to redo our armies and our style of play. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's a bit of a bummer. Once again, as long as they support it with Legends, that's great. Cool options. We want that here. But it does mean that we're going to have to be collecting probably some of the newer models. But it looks like the vast majority of the models that were already in production as of the writing of this codex will still be available and still be able to be used. That's great. We just may see some of the older models kind of cut out. And I imagine it's mostly just going to be specialty characters. We're all talking about it online, right? So Sly Marbo is probably gone, and Strachan and Harker, and the the servitors are gone, right? Maybe we'll see the priests disappear and so forth. So we could see more models kind of pulled out of the codex and others added in, where they may be dividing up existing data sheets to broaden out those already existing and still being produced models to further kind of flesh out the codex. So overall, I think this is really interesting. It may not even be everything about the units. I think that's something else to keep in mind. Sometimes these units have 1 or 2 abilities. So we may also be in store for some more information on like the command squads and so forth. So let's keep an eye out for that and see what's coming to us. I am going to stick to that rumor, though, that I think we may see the Manticore and the Death Strike go away. They've always struggled with the Death Strike since 8th edition, and to balance it, to make it mean anything. And let's face it, how many of you have taken a Death Strike in your list in 10th editions thus far? Very few of you, and maybe none even watching this video. So comment down below. I'm very curious about that. And so we may see them discontinue the kit. And also the Manticore, although it plays a great role in our army, maybe going away so they can encourage the artillery team with its missile launcher to maybe replace that potentially, and toning that down just a little bit. So we may see a reduction in that self-propelled artillery, which I think is fine. I think self-propelled artillery made more sense when the game was physically bigger, when we were playing on bigger tables, right? When they encouraged you to use a 4x6 and a 4x8 foot table, self-propelled artillery made more sense. But now that the game has scaled down, maybe it doesn't have the role that it used to. But if they put it in Legends, that's great. When we go and do our big apocalypse games or cool custom narratives, that means we still can have access to those units, bring them out, and have fun with them on the battlefield once again. All right, so that's it for today. If you enjoy the content I make, you've been enjoying everything I've been putting out, please like and subscribe. If you're really impressed and you really want to support me, I do now have channel membership. And if you go above White Shield and you go to the rank of private or higher, you get access to my Discord. We're in there chatting. We've been talking about these rules even before I made this video here. So you get access to that and to be able to chat with me. And we talk about painting tips and models and strategy and tactics. And I'm sure we'll have tons to discuss as the Codex is coming out over the next few weeks, which is all very exciting. So feel free to subscribe to that. But if that's not your dig and it's not what you're into, you can also support me through the links in the video description below, where you can buy various products through my affiliate links or buy my own merchandise, and that can also contribute as well. And I really appreciate each and every one of you that does that and supports me that way. It really means a lot and really helps out and goes a long way, especially for me to be able to, continue to afford to go to events like the Grand Narrative and Nova Open, and for me to run events at Adepticon. It really helps out for me to be able to have a budget to be able to get there and do those things, and to also get these models and build and paint them and cover them for you also. It means a lot to support me that way. This is not my full-time gig, but it's something fun that I do, and I appreciate all the support. So that's it for today. So remember, as always, have fun wargaming, and remember, Cadius stands.